And it's funny that Frank stole a little bit of my thunder for today, but I want to share with you a quick story before I even get started right now. It's about 15 years ago, and I'm walking into a brand new supervisor's office of one of the longest standing companies that we had been working with. I had just taken over the company from my dad. It's a family-owned business 5 years before that. And as I walked into this gentleman's office, I saw him standing across from me. He had orange, reddish hair, curly, and his eyes steel blue. But as he looked at me, I immediately started to give him my spiel. I said, "Hi, my name is Roger Ceasar, and I just wanted to come in here and to introduce myself and welcome you to the company. And if you need anything from me, just call my name." And he stared at me, kind of like I'm doing right now to all of you, and said nothing. I tried to figure a way to start a conversation with him. And as the sweat started pouring down the side of my face and into my eyes, I realized that for the 5 minutes that I was in that room, it felt like 5 hours. And that gentleman said only this when it was all said and done: "Thank you," and went back to doing what he was doing. Now, I'm going to ask you right now, have you ever had a moment where you've had an uncomfortable conversation? Please raise your hand, because we have enough people here. We can just raise our hands and I can see. I'll tell you that when I left there that day, I went immediately to my office. I walked in, shut the door, said some words that I cannot say here right now. And I remember saying to myself that I never want to feel that intimidated anywhere, any place, at any time again. And that was the start of my journey as a speaker. But why am I here today? Because speaking isn't just about the words that come out of your mouth. That's communication. Speaking is also about the way you connect with people. And in that moment, in that gentleman's office, I did not know how to communicate and connect with him in the proper way. Now, I'm going to take you back, because in that moment, I decided to do a full makeover of myself, working hard to learn how to communicate properly, get into doing courses, and of course, not realizing that I had the gift of gab. Now, if you look at me now, of course, you will see this handsome gentleman on the screen, and you probably say, well, he knows what he's saying, he knows what he's doing. But I'll take you back to a time when I didn't. And I was the quiet kid in the classroom, the one that said nothing. Do we have any of those inside here who are real quiet in class? That was me. I didn't want the teacher to say my name. I stayed far in the back of the classroom and made sure that she didn't see me. But we fast forward to the time when I took over that business. And in that moment with that gentleman, I realized very quickly that I had to master what I call today mastering the mic. Now, mastering the mic doesn't mean the mic you hold in your hand. No, no, no. That's not what we're talking about. We're talking about making intentional connections. Making intentional connections. Over the years, I have realized that communication without connection is simply cosmetic. It looks good, but there's no real substance to it. I have learned to become a certified world-class speaking coach. On my journey as a speaker, I went to the World Championship of Public Speaking for Toastmasters and placed third in the world. And I also took that and started a business and also became an instructor at the University of Toronto, teaching public speaking and business presentations. Because I realized that in business, not just in personal, but in business, It's all about how you connect with people. The connections that you make with them is what leads to long-lasting relationships. And of course, Mac, you stole the thunder a little bit because that's how we became friends, by staying connected, even though we could have easily just said our few words, came off the call, and never talked again. But it's about the intentional connections that you make with people each and every day. So I want you to think about how many times you yourself have intentionally connected with people. And then think about the times when you didn't and the differences between them. Oftentimes at a networking event, you will see people more about the quantity of connections they make rather than the quality. In that moment with that gentleman, that made me realize how important the quality of your connections are. And it brought me to 3 M's. And those 3 M's, and I'm going to talk about that today, are mindful, meaningful, and memorable. I'm going to repeat that. It's mindful, meaningful, and memorable. In order to make intentional connections, these 3 M's are crucial, especially when it comes to long-lasting relationships, whether it is your personal lives or in business.